Hello everyone, this is your man Jason Chukwu with Turning Point Nigeria, and we are hitting you with the second installment with the Global Dialogue with Jason, with yours truly. Are you all ready? Without further ado, let us cut to the chase. So guys, as we're getting Turning Point Nigeria here launched off the ground, I really wanted to focus on something. This topic in particular, I would say, pays a little more closer attention to home, and I wanted to really have my Nigerian and African subscribers out there, whether you're Nigerian or not. And I'm just curious about something. Have you guys ever thought about the power of a name? The power of a name that you're given. The significant meaning behind a name. And I asked that question because last week I had a short but rather also a very substance-based conversation with one of my colleagues, one of my Nigerian colleagues, and we had a pretty good discussion about names, about our African names, our Nigerian names, the names that were given to us. She was born in Nigeria, and her family once she was around 7 or 8, their family settled in a refugee camp, and then during that time they served there before coming to America. But at the same time though, she's always had that name, her name with her. And for me and myself, I was born in America, born in Westchester County, Pennsylvania, and my last name being Chukwu and my middle name being Chiemeka. It really at that age, it was something. Once I had that name, it meant something for me. It was purposefully given to me. It was purposefully given to me and planned by my parents. And I really just wanted to focus more behind the power of names, especially in West African culture. I'm sure that a lot of us are aware of right now. In West African culture, especially, names are more than just what we're given. It's more than just like a classicist label or to identify us. In West African culture, names are a very important piece of who you are. Our Nigerian names are a very important piece of who we are. It's not just a name that's given to us, but it's literally an emblem. It's an emblem of our identity. It's an emblem of what is now on our shoulders and what we carry moving forward. It's an emblem of how we're raised, and so many different factors can go behind the power of a name. It can represent the ethical, social, cultural framework of a society. It can also determine one's character. It can determine how one's reputation. It can also basically predetermine. Not saying that this is accurate by any means, but depending on the name that you've been given, the kind of African name that you've been given, and regarding what tribe you come from, a name literally can also, I would say in some studies it was reported that like a name can literally launch people pretty far into their futures. And a name, the African name, the name that you're given, it also gives us a sense of expectation, curiosity in West African culture, especially when it comes to it gives a sense of just, now that it's out there, now there's this anticipation on who you are, especially at the fact of as to how Nigeria is so diverse, with over 250 ethnic groups, diverse arrays of languages. It's honestly, I would say that it's very much no surprise to me as to how in West African culture that when people from different tribes, different languages, they share their names, they also describe what their name means, what their Nigerian name actually means, whether they're from the Ido, whether they're from the Igbo tribe, whether they're from Yoruba, whether they're from different states, or whether they're Hausa. That when they interact with different tribes, they not only say their name, but they also state what it means, because so that way it also can limit the cultural barriers, the language barriers that may interfere, that may they may come between them. Because once they start to communicate what the name actually means, there starts to bridge a connection. A connection starts to be bridged between different tribes based on the name that you've been given, and how you're communicating that name to the next person. It's honestly fascinating when you guys think about it. And for anyone out there who Nigerians, both in America and also in Africa and around the world that are watching this, take a moment and really just think about the name that you've been given, whether it's your first name, middle name, last name, and just really consider the fact that your name carries a lot of meaning. There's a lot of history behind your name. There's a lot of different circumstances or different factors that make up how your name came to be. And when we really think about it, depending on where we were born, our names, how our names were created, it could have been based off of several factors. When you think about it, so many things can go into how our names are given to us. It can be given to us based off of birth circumstances. It can be given to us based off of occupation or economic situations. It can be based off of spiritual and religious reasons. As a matter of fact, a number of different tribes, like the Ido and the Yoruba, especially the Igbo, definitely a lot of the names that they give their children once they're born have a very specific religious or spiritual connotation behind it in order to relate to God, or to relate to a divine presence. My last name being Chukwu, I am from the Igbo tribe. Chukwu is one of these surnames. It's one of the two names next to Chi that relates to God. It means it also translates to God. And the way Chukwu can be used in several different fashions, several different ways, is in terms of Chukwuemeka, which means God has done great things, or God has done well. Chibuki means God is power. Chika means God is great. Chinonso means God is close. The point of what I'm trying to make here, honestly, is in understanding where our names came from. It's also very imperative that we also understand the background of where that name came from. What does that mean for us, and what does that mean for the kind of life we're going to be living? What does it mean for the kind of life as in whatever tribe you're from? What kind of prerogatives does it set for you? And again, guys, honestly, it just really makes me just it really makes you sit back and think about this. Never be ashamed of your name. I know there's a lot of complex names in Igbo land, a lot of complex names in several areas of Nigeria, all of Nigeria, but they're very unique. That's the one thing that we gotta understand. Our names are very unique. Nobody else will. Some will have the same name, but will have certain names attached to it. Others may have just a partial, part of the name with it. But guys, anyone out there who may have a sense of insecurity, or may have just a sense of shamefulness, please don't ever be ashamed of your name. Don't ever be ashamed of who you are. Don't ever be ashamed of the name that you've been given, because your name has not only a powerful meaning behind it, but the name that you've been given represents the framework of the society, of the culture that you're from, represents the framework of what is expected of you, represents the framework of who you are. It's an emblem of who you are. It's a testament of who you are, and no one else has that name but you. Wear that name with confidence. Guys, I honestly will admit, if there's anything that I regret, at a young age, it's not at a young age, growing up and being accustomed to American culture, which of course I'm not ashamed of, one bit at all. But something that I think so that this, thinking about this topic has prompted me to do more, was to really revisit the parts of my past where I never really paid attention to the significance of my middle name and my last name. Chiemeka was my middle name, which means God has done good deeds or great deeds. And then Chukwu relating to God. I recall not really thinking about that, not really taking that very seriously at a young age, and I will admit I was actually ashamed of my name at a young age, and I didn't really want people to my peers, my classmates, to really find out what my name was. So, you know, with my first name being Jason, I just really wanted that to just be just a ring, just to ring off of everybody. I just wanted to be identified as that. And I would say over time, the more people butchered my name, and they pronounced it wrong, and to a point where I even pronounced it wrong too. I honestly just didn't really. I would say wasn't really concerned how people pronounced it, even though I should have been. I should have been concerned. I really should have been, but I wasn't at that time, and that's something that really came back to haunt me later, because when I was allowing people to butcher my name and to come up with all these different nicknames for it, and to not actually address me by my actual full family name, which actually carries a lot of significance and was a name that I was actually prepared for. I feel like people started taking me less seriously, and because of that, and also I feel like a number of people never really understood where I really came from, or what the background of where my name traces to, where does it trace to, but at the same time, I'm responsible for that because I set the precedent, and I didn't really show or express that kind of concern that I should have had for my name in the first place. And if a number of you out there are like this too, or have done this before too, you're not alone. You're not alone, and this is something that I definitely wish that I could take back and revisit, and to honestly really think about critically. But that really brings me to a conversation I had with a friend of mine, a very wise friend of mine, several months ago, regarding the power behind a name. She used to allow people to just call her whatever name they wanted, but then she told me that a wise man told her that if you allow people to do that, y'all pay attention right now to what I'm about to say. This is very important. Please, if you get anything out of this video, get this right now. If you allow others to say your name however they wanted to say it, and not the way it should be said, not the way it should be pronounced, that's not only disrespecting your name and disrespecting you, but that's disrespecting your culture. It's disrespecting your family background. How is anyone supposed to take you seriously if you allow them to tamper with the one thing that is the emblem of your identity? There's a lot to say about a good name. A Yoruba proverb has said, "A good name is worth more than gold and silver." But guys, honestly, don't ever be ashamed of your name. Own it, embrace it, be thankful for it, protect it, always protect it. Grace and peace, fam. This is Jason Chukwu. Peace out.
Thank you for watching this video. If you like our content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you wish to support our cause, please donate at the GoFundMe link in the description below.